the petition by Kawaya on the pollution of Athi River. Mr. Speaker, many industries in the industrial area, they don't have a proper to support the petition, Mr. Speaker.
Rachel Nyamai.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me a chance to make a comment on these petitions. I would like to make a comment on the one that has been raised by the Honorable Vincent Musyoka Kawaya concerning pollution of Athi River. Honorable Speaker, when Athi River is polluted, it pollutes the 3 Ukambani counties in the Lower Eastern, Kitui, Machakos, and Makueni. Honorable Speaker, in my constituency, where this river Athi flows, my constituents are using water which is green in color. And when it is not rainy or when there isn't a lot of water in the river, the water becomes cleaner. But, Honorable Speaker, that water is not good enough for human consumption. I would like to ask the committee, as they look at it, to be bold enough and ask the institutions that can test the water so that they are able to identify what impurities are in that water, call out on those companies so that this matter is brought to rest, because it was raised in the 12th Parliament and nothing much was done. Honorable Speaker, I would like also to say that it is important before these companies are given permission to operate upstream, they should do health impact assessments so that they can tell what is the impact of people's health downstream. Honorable Speaker, I would like also to congratulate the pastor who has raised the matter on corruption in Kano Waste Irrigation Scheme, and to say that as they look at this matter, they can go beyond the regional area of Kisumu Anti-Corruption Commission Office and move towards the national office so that they do not deal with the people who may be causing the problem. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Deputy Speaker. Give Honorable Boss the mic.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to be able to comment on the petition by the Honorable Member for Kasese constituency relating to the interaction between the members of the local community and the forests around them. Even as I support his petition, I would like to add in that it is important that we create alternative sources of energy, alternative sources for cooking for those communities so that they can have options and not have to harvest the trees for cooking and other domestic issues. Just yesterday, I did launch 2 burner stoves across Uasin-Gishu County that use biofuel. They use bioethanol that is made from sugarcane, which is safer than charcoal and also protects our forests because people don't have to deforest. So yes, I move to support, but also with that rider. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Stephen Mule.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank my brother, Honorable Vincent. He's my neighbor. Mr. Speaker, I want to bring to attention and to this nation. We served together with Honorable Vincent in the 11th Parliament, whereby we engaged African Development Bank to do a feasibility study to build a major dam in my constituency to serve the lower part of Mwala, whereby they put up enough money to put up that dam. But I know because of pollution of this river, quite a lot of things never took place. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, personally I hosted the Minister for Environment then, Madam Waungu, at Ndunyu, whereby they launched a project to clean up the Athi River to make sure that the people living in the downstream are able to get safe water. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, last Parliament, this Parliament appropriated money, and money was found to build up the bigger Thwake Dam. I can assure you, Mr. Speaker, if this issue is not handled seriously by the petition, Thwake Dam will be a white elephant because it will be carrying the entire pollution of Athi River from Nairobi and its environment, and we cannot continue to invest in projects whereby they are going to be white elephant because of pollution in this country. I want to support Mheshimiwa Vincent, and I want to to assure him we'll walk this journey. We have walked it for 10 years. These 5 years, we must get it right. And I can assure you, Mr. Speaker, we'll be looking forward for favorable determination of pollution in Athi River and all other rivers in this country to make sure that we safeguard the health and the population of Kenya from menace pollution from different factories in this country who are managed by people.
The Honorable Robert Pukose.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for allowing me to make my comments on the petition, and specifically the petition by the member of Keses, the Honorable Ruto. That, Honorable Speaker, when the committee is looking into it, we've had communities living along the forest, especially recently we've had people of Socio in Saboti being evicted, their houses destroyed, their property being destroyed, and yet in a very inhuman way by the Kenya Forest Services. And I think it is a high time, Honorable Speaker, that we must be able to look at the human rights abuses for communities which are living along the forest, where you are destroying their property, you destroy their houses, and you leave them landless and in a very squalid conditions. The people, you find that also some lands which are bordering forests have been cassetted. For example, ex-Ronson Farm being cassetted, yet people are living there, and there is no compensation for these people. So I think it is important that when the Committee on Petitions is looking into this petition, please invite us so that we can also be able to represent the views of our people and see how best, not just the people of Keses, but the people of also Endebess and Saboti, and the entire pit of Mount Elgon are assessed and assisted. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable John Mutunga, Tigania.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to also add my voice to the petitions. Honorable Speaker, I will specifically speak on the petition by Honorable Vincent on pollution of waterways. Honorable Speaker, we have a lot of efforts in this country, and I believe we are making these efforts to harness the water for irrigation and for use downstream. We cannot harness the water if it is highly polluted and concentrate all this pollution and allow the people to use downstream, because that will be putting people into more danger. What we need to do is to avoid discharge of waste into the waterways. We need to change even the environmental impact assessment that has been going on to look for alternative ways of discharging effluent or liquid waste. Because liquid waste, we do not have sufficient rivers around Nairobi especially to discharge liquid waste. We have to think of either burying it deep down or looking for other incineration methods other than just using the waterways, because discharge through the waterways is very, very dangerous, especially when we are planning to use this water for irrigation and for human consumption. So pollution needs to be considered afresh. The National Environmental Management Agency needs to look at this issue and come up with better ways of handling the liquid waste so that people can be safer downstream. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Protas from Loima.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want the grounds that, Mr. Speaker, the issue of pollution is the reason why Kenya is at the moment. The issue of climate change, the issue of global warming is because of because of pollution. And the organizations that have been mandated to enforce some of these laws that we are making here are unable to do that. NEMA for sure has not been able to do its work, because I remember when the issue of pulp and papers were banned, some of these poisoned papers were still able to make their way into Kenya through our borders in the watch of NEMA. So NEMA has to wake up and be able to do its role. Otherwise, this climate change and global warming will continue and our people will perish forever. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I support.
Makali Mulu. Honorable Makali Mulu.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I support all the three petitions, but I want to raise issues of concern to two of them. Honorable Speaker, I want to start with the petition by Honorable Musioka, the pollution of our rivers, and more specifically, at the river. Honorable Speaker, this issue of pollution of the river was raised in the 11th Parliament. It was raised in the 12th Parliament. It is now being raised in the 13th Parliament. And what I'm asking myself as I sit here, Honorable Speaker, is, has this House become a talking show? Because really, I'm sure those two parliaments, Honorable Speaker, must have resolved that some action must be taken. So even as we discuss these petitions, Honorable Speaker, I think it's important as a House we agree how do we then move forward in a situation where decisions have been made by this House and there is no implementation. On the petition of the corruption, Honorable Speaker, the pastor from Gucema, to me I think the most important question is EACC, and there is that perception, Honorable Speaker, that EACC, even though they are supposed to be addressing issues relating to corruption in this country, they are also having issues themselves. And the question is, who is supposed to watchdog this watchdog, Honorable Speaker? Because really, I think really, Honorable Speaker, there are issues, and as a House, we really need to discuss, Honorable Speaker, through your leadership, on how to handle issues where Kenyans are raising issues with the EACC. Because when you go to the counties, many counties are complaining. The assemblies are saying they have put issues to the EACC, but nothing seems to be much to be done in terms of investigation and concluding on this matter. So even as we support these petitions, Honorable Speaker, to me those are the fundamental questions to ask as a House and agree on how we move forward. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Justice Kemei, Honorable.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity that you've given me. Mr. Speaker, I want to comment on the petition by the Member of Parliament for Keses. In this country, Mr. Speaker, we have people who have traditionally and for time immemorial lived along forests. Specifically, Mr. Speaker, I'm mentioning the Okie community who live along forests in Rift Valley, Western and Central regions. Mr. Speaker, this community needs the protection of this House. When they go to the forest, Mr. Speaker, they are not loggers, they are not thieves. They simply go there for simple livelihoods, Mr. Speaker, of collecting firewood once in a while, and mostly, Mr. Speaker, to harvest honey, which they rely on for survival, Mr. Speaker. So I want to encourage the Public Petitions Committee that when they look at this, the rights of the people of these communities who live along the forest must be protected. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, when you look at them, they've got no means of livelihood. So when the chance to log trees is available, Mr. Speaker, these communities need to be considered so that they can also have a means of livelihood. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I appreciate and I support. Thank you.
The last on this, Beatrice Elach.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support the petition of Honorable Kawaya. Mr. Speaker, as we speak about pollution, and we've just finished COP27 where we've talked about climate change, looking at the river at the moment and the ecosystem of just at the river, and looking at Nairobi specifically, Mr. Speaker, that has also a lot of pollution, and that pollution ends up into at the river where people are also doing agriculture, and that's how we've ended up having a lot of cancers because of what we are using as water. I think, Mr. Speaker, is important, first of all, for NEMA. It is either this House to relook at NEMA, relook at what is the mandate of NEMA. Why are we having all these challenges yet we have an institution that needs to deal with it. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, as I support, I think when they're looking at the petition, they need to look at the institutions that are supposed to deal with companies. Have we just accepted? Is it corruption that is choking us, that we are able to just give in and kill our people instead of being firm and ensuring that companies that throw waste into the rivers must be charged, must be closed. Their licenses, as Kawaya says, must be terminated, so that then we will have the seriousness, and then we come and now sensitize all the citizens that it is indeed, these are our rivers, especially Nairobi River. Mr. Speaker, as Nairobi, we must clean Nairobi River for Athi River to be clean. And therefore, I want to support him and to say, as Nairobi, we will walk a journey with you, because it starts with us as it pours to Athi River. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Elijah. There are 2 minutes to go on this. I'll give Bissau Kakai 1 minute and Meli 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I thank Honorable Ruto for bringing in that motion on welfare of the forest communities. If you look at Trans Nzoia, we've got 3 water towers, but critically, the forestry department has sort of undermined the communities that are originally around the forest. And what we'll say, Mr. Speaker, it will be good if within the corporate social responsibility of the forestry authority to try and look at these communities as partners in terms of even planting more trees, and even when it comes to issues like employment, motivation, because originally these communities are the ones who understand also the advantage of forests. And again, Mr. Speaker, if you find a place where there's been deforestation or cutting of trees, it's because the corrupt officials from forestry have actually to kick out the original communities that have resided there and bringing in...
The last 1 minute for the Honorable Meli.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the petitioners for the two petitions, mainly Honorable Kawaya and Honorable Ruto. Honorable Speaker, I want to really ask this House to really take it seriously, that the people who live along forests owe the country a lot. It's because they are the ones who have actually taken care of this forest for many years. In my constituency, Honorable Speaker, we have a number of them in Kipkurere and even communities like the Okiek, who actually rely on forests for honey and for food. So what the government needs to do is to actually allow them, motivate them to take care of this forest and at the same time earn a living out of it. On the issue of pollution, Honorable Speaker, I remember it was in this House when we discussed the issue of the Athi River. And this one was passed and it was taken to the implementation committee. I think it is high time that we really have to take punitive measures against...
Honorable members, the 3 petitions are committed to the Public Petitions Committee to transact and report back in the prescribed time. Honorable members, I wish to recognize students and teachers from the following schools seated at the Speaker's Gallery. Nova Pioneer School from Eldoret, Alliance High School, Kikuyu. On my behalf and that of the House, I wish to welcome them to the National Assembly. I thank you. Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you know the Deputy Speaker and the member for Ndebes had a problem with me foot thumping for the school. As you appreciated the schools present, and the member for Ndebes knows the school is in the Speaker's Gallery. The school, of course, is the Alliance High School. And I don't need to say, Honorable Speaker, what we all say. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, November 16, 2022. Legal notice number 194 of 2022 relating to the capital markets, licensing requirements, general amendments number 2, regulations 2022, and the explanatory memorandum from the National Treasury. 2, Draft Public Finance Management Financial Inclusion Fund Regulations 2022 and the explanatory memorandum from the National Treasury. Honorable Speaker, for the benefit of members, those are the regulations on the Hustler Fund. 3, Annual Status Report on Water, Sanitation and Irrigation from the Ministry of Water and Sanitation and Irrigation. 4, Report on Human-Wildlife Conflict Compensation Claims approved by 25th February 2022 and not paid as at 30th June 2022 from the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife. 5, 15th edition of biannual report on the status of alcohol and drugs control in Kenya for the period covering 1st July to 31st December 2021 by NACADA. 6, the Public Financial Management Reform Secretariat Communication Strategy for the period 2018 to 2023 from the National Treasury. 7, the annual report and financial statements of Kirinyaga University for the financial year 2020-2021. 8, annual report and financial statements of Kenyatta National Hospital, for the financial year 2018-2019. 9, quarterly economic and budgetary review for the first quarter of the financial year 2021-2022 for the period ending 30th June 2022 from the National Treasury. 10, the biannual report for the period July to December 2021 from the Commission on Administrative Justice. 11, county government's annual budget implementation review report for the financial year 2021-2022 from the Controller of Budget. 12, the performance audit report on monitoring and artisanal mining operations by the Ministry of Petroleum and Mining. 13, annual public debt management report for the financial year 2021-2022 from the National Treasury. 14 is the report on the state of the National Government Constituency Development Fund committees, including a revised list for Wajir West, South, Kiminini, Kinango, Lugari, Mukurweini, Mwingi North, Ndia, Sirisia, Juja, Runyanja, Stigania East, Wajir West, Turkana North, and Turkana West. 16, a revised list of nominees for Kilifi North and Gilgil constituencies from the National Government Development Fund Board. 17, reports of the Auditor General and financial statements in respect of the following constituencies for the financial year ended 30th June 2021 and the certificates therein. Isiolo South, Tiati, Kachaliba, Turkana East, Saku, Laisamis, Kapsaret, Chesumei, Ainabkoi, Manyata, Mbere South, Isiolo North, Loima, Pokot South, Kuria East, Mosop, Moyale, Westlands, West Mugirango, Rongai, Nakuru East, Naivasha, Eldama Ravine, Turkana West, Oljororok, Marakwet East, Kajiado Central, Kajiado East, Kajiado West, Kajiado North, Kibwezi East, Kinangop, Mandera South, Starehe, Kangundo, Narok West, Gilgil, Njoro, Emurua Dikir, Narok South, Subukia, Mogotio, Bahati, Embakasi North, Kurisewe North, Aldai, Tigania East, Langata, Embakasi Central, Embakasi South, Githunguri, Nandi Hills, Makadara, and Limuru. 18 reports of the Auditor General and financial statements. B, Last Mile Connectivity Project 1 for Kenya Power and Lighting Company, PLC. C, Last Mile Connectivity Project 2 by Kenya Power and Lighting Company, PLC. Kenya Transport Sector Support Project by the State Department for Infrastructure. Water and Sanitation Services Improvement Project by the Lake Victoria North Waterworks Development Agency. The Credit Guarantee Scheme by the National Treasury. Kenya Town Sustainable Water Supply and Sanitation Program by the Tana Waterworks Development Agency. Central Bank of Kenya. Multinational Lake Victoria Maritime Communication and Transport Kenya Maritime Authority. And Kenya Health Sector Program Support 3. Honorable Speaker, allow me to correct that because it read financial statements in respect of following constituencies. These are not constituencies. Should have read reports of the Auditor General and financial statements in respect of the following state agencies for the financial year ended 30th June 2022. I think there was a typo from the clerk's office in respect to that.
Thank you.
Because those are not constituencies. But also allow me, Honorable Speaker, like you did, to welcome the school members of the class from Alliance High School, where I schooled way back in 1994 and served as a Smith House captain. And so did the Honorable Clive, also schooled there most recently. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And of course, the Honorable Stanley Manduku and the Alliance High School should feel welcome to the House.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Member for Mosop. Honorable members, before the member for Mosop takes the floor, I received 2 identical motions of adjournment from the member for Mosop, which came earlier, and the member for Madare, the Honorable Olwach. I have allowed both motions to be debated this afternoon, but we'll only have a notice of motion from the member for Mosop. Go ahead.
Yeah, Honorable Speaker, thank you for this opportunity. Honorable Speaker, as pursuant to standing
Order,
order.
Honorable Member, there is a point of order from the member for Mgwen. What is out of order? Give the member for Mgwen the mic.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise pursuant to the standing order number 86 on the proceedings of select committees, which reads, no member shall refer to the substance of the proceedings of a select committee before the committee has made a report to the House. As a member, in view of these provisions of this order, Mr. Speaker, as a young parliamentarian, is it in order for the honorable member of this House, particularly Honorable Junet, member of this House, who is a member of JLAC,
Member, you are completely out of order.
No.
The matter before the House is a notice of motion by the member for Mosop.
All right.
There is nothing to finish, you and I. The member for Mgwen, order, honorable members, the member for Mgwen, if you have an issue that you want to raise other than the matter being debated on the floor, You approach the chair or the clerks at the table, then they will guide you on how and when to raise it. For now, what is on the floor is a notice of motion to adjourn the House to debate a matter that the honorable member for Mosop, your neighbor, is about to raise. Honorable member for Mosop,
Okay.
and your notice will be like a notice given by the member for Madare as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order number 33-1, I rise to seek leave for adjournment for the House in order to discuss a definite matter of urgent national importance regarding importation of genetically modified organic GMO maize into the country. Honorable Speaker, on Thursday, the 17th November 2022, the government, through the Cabinet Secretary for the Ministry of Trade, Investment and Industry, announced an intention of allowing duty-free importation of 10 million bags of GMO maize over the next 6 months. However, this move will disadvantage farmers from maize-growing areas who are currently at the harvesting season. The waiver of the ban comes at a time Kenyan bread basket areas of Uasin Gishu, Trans Nzoia, Narok, Laikipia, Nakuru, Elgeyo Marakwet, Kakamega, Kericho, and Nandi counties, among other regions of the country, could prompt farmers to release more of the produce to the market before the influx of the cheaper GMO maize imports, and consequently adversely distressing the prices due to effects of supply and demand. Honorable Speaker, in addition, the proposed importation of GMO maize come at a time when questions on whether or not to allow GMO crops and products to be cultivated or imported into the country. This is in relation to alleged risk associated to such products. Honorable Speaker, this is against this background that I seek your leave for the adjournment of the House to discuss this matter on national concern on importation of genetically modified organic maize into the country and its effects in its local farmers. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I give this notice, and I have support of over 30 members. I'm asking them to rise.
Honorable members, the motion by the member for Mosop and the member for Madare have sufficient support, and we will allocate them time. Given the tremendous interest I see from members on the floor, we will give them time from 4:15. We'll give them time from 4 p.m. The member for Mosop will move the motion. This is a motion that requires no seconding. The member for Madare will be allocated equal time with the member for Mosop because they are co-moving the motion. Then the rest will be to the House to debate. Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
I mitigate the continued release of effluent and other pollutants into Lake Victoria, leading to damage and loss of the marine biodiversity. Honorable Speaker, what steps is the ministry taking to assess the extent of damage that chemicals discharged into the lake from industrialization and sewage releases considering the huge losses of fish and negative impacts on the fish farming? Number 3, what steps has the ministry taken to eradicate or control the causes of rising pollution levels in the lake so as to guarantee the safety of the fish consumed by Kenyans? Number 4, what action is the ministry taking to ensure the environment is protected from such pollution, and more specifically to eradicate the continued stench from the lake? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The question is committed to the Departmental Committee on Environment, Forest and Mining. Member Fondiwa, Martin Owino.
Donated the land or revert to the rightful owners. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next, I'm advised question 026 by the Honorable Oundo was already asked. Now we go to question 027, Member for Ruiru, Simon Kingara.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for according me this opportunity to ask question number 27 of 2022, directed to the Cabinet Secretary for Roads and Transport. Mr. Speaker, 1, could the Cabinet Secretary explain what steps have been taken to curb the increasing cases of accidents involving pedestrians crossing the Thika Superhighway, particularly in rural constituencies where numerous lives have been lost, especially Kehunguro? Mr. Speaker, number 2, could the Cabinet Secretary consider urgently constructing more footbridges, speed bumps, and ensuring adequate road markings, pedestrian crossing, and road signs along the eastern bypass from Mwihoko Junction, Kamakis, Kehunguro to Prison Junction, Ojai, to curb the high number of accidents occurring along the said road? Number 3, Mr. Speaker, sir, could the Cabinet Secretary also consider urgently constructing a footbridge at the Green Valley Estate and Githongori Primary School and Secondary School along the eastern bypass, where several residents, including children, have lost their lives while crossing the very busy road? Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Next is a statement to be made by the Honourable Member Mark Mwenje, Member for Embakasi West. Give the Honourable Member microphone, clerk. You have the mic, the Honourable Mwenje.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I have the mic. Honourable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44-2C, I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Education regarding the preparedness by the Ministry of Education and the Kenya National Examination Council regarding simultaneous administration of the upcoming Kenya Certificate of Primary Education and Kenya Primary School Education Assessment National Examinations. Honorable Speaker, education is a powerful driver of development and one of the strongest instruments for reducing poverty and improving health, gender equality, peace, and stability. Indeed, Article 43(1) of the Constitution provides for the right to education for every person in the country. Further, Article 53(1)(b) of the Constitution states that every child has a right to free and compulsory basic education. Honorable Speaker, examinations are a part. Education and growth for the students are essential for knowledge and capability testing. Indeed, most schools have completed the curriculum and are prepared for the upcoming national examinations, which are scheduled to run from 28th November to 3rd December 2022. Regrettably, there's a typo. Regrettably, it has come to my attention that there are schools in many urban centers, particularly in Nairobi City County and specifically in Embakasi West constituency, that do not have the physical infrastructure to administer the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education, KCPE, and the Kenya Primary School Education Assessment, KIPSEA, concurrently. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Education. In the statement, the chairperson should address the following matters. 1, specific steps and arrangements that the ministry is taking to accommodate schools, especially in urban areas with very high number of candidates sitting the 2 exams. Number 2, specific steps that the ministry is taking to facilitate schools that cannot meet the Kenya National Examination Council recommended rate. This matter preferably this week. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Mwenje. Honorable members, we will yes. The chairman to whom the statement is directed is in the House. The Committee on Education. Majority Leader, if you listened to the statement by the Honorable Mwenje, it is very urgent, and I don't see the Chair of Education. Can you undertake that the response be on Thursday afternoon?
Yes, Honorable Speaker, I think I can undertake that because already the chair was here, but I'm sure he has gone to my office. I don't know to do what, and I'm here.
How can he leave you in the chamber to go to your office?
I just heard that he has gone to my office. I don't know to do what, and I'm here. But Honorable Speaker, I can undertake and indicate to the Honorable Member that indeed the Cabinet Secretary for Education paid a courtesy call to my office this morning. And since I was privy to that question, he's already appraised of the issue, and I therefore can undertake to have an answer by Thursday.
Thursday afternoon. Honorable Mwenje, it's so ordered. Next order. Honorable Proceedings here? Yes, you are not on the order paper, but I'm told you have a statement to make. I will allow you.
Yes, I thank you, Speaker, and you have approved the statement. So thank you, Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 44.2c, I wish to request for a statement from the Leader of Majority Party regarding the planned importation of 10 million bags of maize for 6 months period, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
Statement is directed at you.
Very critical. National interest. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, according to Honorable Speaker, while millions of Kenyans are facing severe hunger due to drought, The move to allow importation of maize into the country for the next 6 months will jeopardize several farmers who are due to harvest and are already harvesting, Honorable Speaker, this month of November and December. Honorable Speaker, according to the maize production forecast of November 2021 by the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, the maize farmers in North Rift produced, Honorable Speaker, more than 18 million bags of maize, Speaker. Speaker, further, many farmers from the food basket counties of Trans Nzoia, Uasin Gishu, West Pokot, Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet, Nakuru, and Bungoma have invested colossal amount of money, Honorable Speaker, on farm inputs, which is estimated at 60,850 per acre, and are exposed and are expecting to harvest about 25 bags per acre in the upcoming harvest season. Speaker, further, it is against this background that I seek for the statement from the leader of majority party to inquire into and report on the following. Number one, reasons why the government is determined to import the 10 million bags of maize when farmers are likely to produce even more than that, Honorable Speaker. Number two, could the government consider halting the planned importation of the 10 million bags of maize to create market for the maize that is likely to be harvested by our local farmers? And finally, Speaker, three, could the government consider opening the National Cereals Board in this country to buy maize from the farmers at a cost of minimum 3,600? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Majority Leader, when can you respond to that statement?
Honorable Speaker, I am really wondering whether, Honorable Speaker, this statement has not been expended by the notice of motion that the member for Mosopa has already given in relation to this discussion, because it's very similar to the issues that are bound to be debated in the adjournment motion. However, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, there is now a substantive chair of the Committee of Agriculture, and I thought maybe the leader should have directed that to the relevant committee. And I'm also sure he's well aware that the statistics given for 2021 from the Ministry of Agriculture, that the projections are also true. These are accurate figures, and the projection for the expected harvest this year is close to 30 million bags. And the Honorable Kosing, coming from the North Rift and being a good partaker of ugali, knows that our normal average consumption per year of maize is in the region of 40 to 45 million bags. So there already be a shortage, but let me relay this to the ministry to be able to provide an answer. But more profoundly, Honorable Speaker, I just want to beg again that we hasten the review of our standing orders, because it's also not in order for myself to be pretending to be answering these questions or the chairs. We just be relaying messages that are coming from the executive to allow members of the executive come and address those matters before the House. But with those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I think there are good issues of concern, but I thought there are issues that we could also have addressed during the adjournment motion. But also, the Honorable Singh is smiling mischievously because he knows the answers. He knows with a shortage of over 10 million bags, unless farmers, and Honorable Speaker, allow me to take this opportunity to speak to our farmers, because our farmers, yes, Honorable Speaker,
Junet?
Our farmers, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Junet, what's out of order?
Mr. Speaker, thank you for indulging me. Mr. Speaker, is it in order for the majority leader to behave into his head? Don't say that I thrive on propaganda. There is no propaganda. I was just telling you that go and get the answer from the Minister for Agriculture. Why, or the Minister for Industry, why he's importing 10 million bags of GMO. And they're saying even the ship has docked. That's what today the newspapers were saying. Whether it is true or false, we don't know. Those are the information. Go and fetch for us. You're just a messenger. Stick to your job.
Finish up, majority. Just tell us when you want to bring.
Honorable Speaker, you know, when I said the Honorable Junet thrives in propaganda, yeah, he's now quoting newspapers. That it's only him who seems to have read those newspapers. I read his tweet yesterday speaking to matters that are already before a committee of this House where he sits in. And those tweets, Honorable Speaker, and I think is something that we also may need to address ourselves to. You cannot be tweeting on matters that are before committees of the House contrary to Standing Order 86. And he was is a member of that committee and never attends committee sittings.
There is a point of order from the Honorable Ferdinand. Give him the mic.
Mr. Speaker, I just want to make a correction that the figures that the leader of the majority is coming up with are falsy, come from the North Rift. What there is that we estimated, and in fact, Mr. Speaker, there are farmers who have refused to sell maize for the previous season. If you add up this, we are talking about 38 million bucks. So the figures that the leader is coming up with, I want just to correct him in good faith that I'm not correct. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And now that is advice now, Honorable Speaker, that the House can take, because the Honorable Ferdinand Wanyonyi not only represents farmers, but he's also a maize farmer. And he's speaking facts. And it's only that probably he didn't get. I said the estimated harvest for this year is about 30 million bags. But I was also saying I take this opportunity to speak to our farmers. And that is where now we converge with Honorable Wanyonyi, that indeed there are farmers who are holding maize. And some farmers are actually holding maize. And that's why I wanted to speak to our farmers to allow the forces of demand and supply to prevail. Because what will happen if farmers continue holding maize, then you may force importation to check in, and then the market is flooded with maize, and the prices will come down. So I just want to plead to farmers, even as we seek answers from the ministry, because this is not something that I even need the ministry to answer, Honorable Junet. I am a student of economics, and I know the forces of demand and supply. If farmers continue holding maize, and as they wait for prices to go up, if government then decides there is no supply of maize and imports, the prices will come down. So it's only fair to advise our farmers, those who are holding maize from the last harvest and those who are harvesting now, to release that maize to the market to help our people be able to consume maize that is affordable, Honorable Speaker, and for the Honorable Junet to access. And therefore, we will be seeking for an answer from the ministry and give an answer in the next 1 week, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, Honorable Majority Leader, when are you or the committee chair bringing a response to that statement? Can we do it on Tuesday afternoon? Tuesday next week?
Indeed, Honorable Speaker, I had indicated in 1 week, which comes to Tuesday next week. And I hope the Honorable Junet will be in the chamber, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Proceedings, your response will come on Tuesday afternoon.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker, for actually bringing the leader of majority to action. I thank you, Honorable Speaker. But let me also tell him, we also elected with him. This is the third term. He's insinuating something that he thinks I don't know. Let me correct him, Honorable Speaker.
What did he say?
You gave us that we are now veterans. He's also a veteran. That it is the same as what Honorable Kirwa sought in terms of the debate later. Speaker, you know, a debate like that has no question and has no obligation, has no answer, has no vote. It just ends. So what next is just opinion. In fact, it's actually almost a talk show. But Honorable Speaker, of course, it is to pick opinion. That is why, Honorable Speaker, we went forward to bring this statement because it is an obligation. It's now obligating the leader majority and obligating the minister to respond to this House, Honorable Speaker. Finally, it will be on record. This debate of 10 million and farmers losing is likely to continue, Honorable Speaker, and that will be on record now to be followed after that, Honorable Speaker. I thank you.
You are anticipating an answer. You've asked a question or made a statement, and you've been told you'll get a response on Tuesday. Hold your horses. If the response is inadequate, you'll be given enough time to say what you are attempting to say. Honorable Kirwa, I directed that we start your debate at 4. We have 2 minutes to 4. Is Honorable Olwoch of Madare in the house?